Hello everyone and welcome to Bookie channel. Today we are making a novel review from A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie, and that's the first part of Age of Madness Trilogy. And set in the same world that the most of other Abercrombie's works. And first about the catchiness of the book. So I think the book takes a bit of time before it really gets going, and I think that's because there are several different characters and plot lines that are followed, and it takes time before you get to know the character and kind of identify with her or him, and so on. So those multiple plot lines are because perhaps the main reason that it takes a bit of time to get properly in the book, but nothing too problematic, at least in my opinion. And towards the end the book is very gripping, so kind of you want to finish it rather soon. So the catchiness happens a bit by bit. Then about the originality of the book. So I like Abercrombie's style, and I think that style is really original. I cannot identify any other writer that has, or fantasy writer that has quite similar style as him. So that style really tells that this is Abercrombie's book. And I really like how he describes the characters through their mannerisms and actions, and that's just one of the greatest strengths of Abercrombie and his books. So I really like that character building, character description and so on. And also the era is not that much explored in fantasy, so there is that industrial revolution going on, and there is the complexity of the setting, so there are different classes, different environments, different cultures, and all of these are being mixed, while there seems to be perhaps some greater threats looming behind, perhaps pulling the strings there and so on. So perhaps there is a larger setting that the characters are ignorant of, and they are being used as pawns by those stronger players that are inhabiting the same world. About the plots or story, I think those different plot strands are well woven together, and I really like the whole how it turns out to be. And rather as this is the first book of a trilogy, it's rather clear, especially in the ending of the book, because there is not so high a climax at the ending, but it kind of paves way for part 2. So that's that kind of limits the story a bit there. And I really like, because there are those multiple perspectives from different cultures, social backgrounds and so on, how all of those conflicts and perspectives are interwoven in the plot and the story. That's really nice. 3 things I like in the book. I like the style, especially related to the characters and their mannerisms. That's absolutely one of the best, if not the best, way to write characters in my opinion. And also I like the world building in the Industrial Revolution, how all of its bad sides are brought to the view of the reader and so on. I think Abercrombie has done his background work by studying Industrial Revolution before writing this novel and so on. And I also like that every one of the characters in the book seem to have some kind of weakness, and they have to struggle and cope with that weakness. I think that's one of the trademarks of Abercrombie's characters. All of them are somehow flawed, and all of them have to cope with those flaws and try to struggle forward in their life despite their position in the society. Of course, the struggles may be more difficult for those on the bottom of the society, but also the rich and powerful need to struggle and overcome their weaknesses. Then there are some things I don't like, or that could be a bit better in the book. Of course, this is a fantasy novel made to adults, but I think some of the descriptions and wording the characters are using are a bit too vulgar. I'm not sure if they serve their purpose there or why they have been put there, but that's at times a bit kind of disorienting for me. Also, I think the ending could have been built a bit differently so that the climax of the book would have been at the end instead of the end of the third quarter of the book, perhaps. So that's kind of a minus for me. And also, albeit a minor minus, is that it takes a bit of time to get the book for going properly, and that's what I discussed at the beginning of this review. So overall, I think the beginning and end of the book gets 4 out of 5 points or 3 out of 5, but the middle is really, really solid and good fantasy writing, and that gets 5 out of 5. But because of the deficiencies at the beginning and at the end, I think the overall score will be set to 4 out of 5 for this book. And the verdict, this is an excellent fantasy novel for adults. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the content, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to post comments. What do you think about this book? Do you agree or disagree with the review? Do you have some books you hope that I will review at some point, and so on? Have a great rest of the day. Bookie Channel out.